All right. First of all, let's just say a quick prayer. Dear God, thank you for bringing us here tonight. And I pray over our hearts and our minds that you make our thoughts and words clear, that you make breakthroughs with us in ourselves of why you've brought us here and what you'd have us do here. And just bless this time together and help it bring us closer and bring glory to your name. Amen. All right, so in case you haven't been warned, tonight we're talking about our whys. And I know this is a topic that, especially if you've been coaching for a while, you've heard a lot. But Bethany and I were chatting, and really as we thought about the last call and really just about what we know about all of us, we've all kind of went through a range of life events and things, and we thought it'd be good for us just to share with one another and really come to terms with ourselves, really why we're here now, right? Because that can change over time. So I'm just going to start. I'm going to get in a little bit more detail than we're going to ask of you, just because it's going to roll into what I talk about a little later. So I'm going to share my kind of why journey, and Bethany's going to share her why journey, and then we're going to open up to you guys, whoever's on the call, to share just a minute or two of why you're coaching now. So, and just to say too, like, it definitely can change through time, right? So I'll share when I started my why, and I'm going to share more detail because it comes into play later on something else that we're going to talk about. So I started largely because I myself needed the personal accountability, and I needed a positive outlet. I was working full time in international taxes and CPA. It was super stressful. I was in a really low place to begin with. Like, Beachbody had just helped me after a month kind of dig out of it, but like, I could see coaching could keep me on this path of starting to feel better. So it was really the positive outlet, kind of a hobby, and the extra accountability that I needed. And so that's why I did it. Then after probably a year, that why really shifted to me, and I shared this a little bit on the first call, of like me really seeing this vision and this possibility and this kind of nudging that this could be the vehicle to help me stay at home if and when I had another baby. That became, now I'll say that the first two are still true. The first two of still needing the accountability, that was still true. And being a positive outlet, that was still true. But because I had that extra why of this could be the thing that helps me stay at home, and I really feel led that that's what I'm supposed to do, because of that why, my intensity increased, my goals increased, everything increased because I had that additional why. Okay. And that's important because that comes into play again. So I did that for a season. And then after I actually became a stay-at-home mom, my husband got a huge raise, and that like intensity of needing the income wasn't there anymore. And so it's funny because now hindsight, I look back and I really fell back onto my original whys of, well, definitely I had postpartum depression at that time again, after having my second, and I needed the positive outlet as a stay-at-home mom. Holy crap. Like, I was not prepared for that. I thought it was like going to be my rainbows and butterfly sunshine, and it was not. So those two original whys came back, and I needed that. But I found that only having those two things really made my business struggle, because I didn't have that intensity anymore. And I didn't have that like push. I was just like, because honestly, at that point, I'd been working my business for a couple of years. So like, it just keeping me accountable. I didn't have to do a lot. I could share a post every once in a while, and it would keep me accountable. And it being a positive outlet, I could totally be a hermit in my groups and love on the people that were there. Like, those two original whys weren't, after a while, I knew in my heart, like, that he wanted more out of me than just to be comfortable and just to stay complacent and just using it as those two original whys. And so over the last probably year or two, my why has shifted again, or another addition has been added to it, in that like I've really felt the calling that like I am supposed to not only like build a team of women. I had just had this passion in my heart of like showing other people that it's totally possible to do this business in a way that is like glorifying to him and actually like good for you and your families and everything in a way that's not completely self-sacrificing and forcing things and all the some of the stuff that we've experienced in the past. Like I just had that on my heart. Like I want other people to be able to work this business like I have and had the success that I have. And I have this feeling and this leading, and this is probably oversharing, but like my husband for the past like year or two has really struggled mentally and emotionally with addiction and all these things. And like I really have it on my heart. Like our story is kind of like I was the breadwinner, and then I started doing coaching, and then once I quit, he got a huge raise. So now he's the breadwinner and I'm kind of coaching. And like I just feel in my heart like that it's now my job, and I totally can. I'm capable, and I feel this leading that I'm supposed to now build my income with coaching to give him an option to do something else. Because he's not happy where he is right now. So because I have had that new why, it has again adjusted my goals and my intensity to a different season. And so that just kind of the original two are still there. So I think sometimes we get like we feel like if I just say, oh, it just keeps me accountable and I want a positive outlet, that can't be true anymore if I want to build income. Like it can all be true still. It's just, and I'll get into that more. But anyways, that kind of just shares with you my evolution of my whys and where I am now. But I'll pass it off to Bethany now to share hers.
Yeah, my why is a little bit different, I guess. It's kind of in reverse, I think, of what most people start with. Um, I started coaching 7 years ago, and I did it because I had seen a post from Amber Kuiper, who I knew prior to coaching. We have mutual friends and are from the same area in Northwest Iowa. And um, I had read what she had written, and it was something that I kind of just couldn't shake. And I thought about it for months. And it literally was something that I would wake up thinking about at night or not be able to go to sleep at night. And I really didn't want anything to do with it, to be honest. Because I knew Amber was very involved online. She had a blog, she was on social media, and that was just never a space I felt compelled to go and explore and do life on. And I knew that would be part of it. So I actually just kind of fought that feeling of, Bethany, I kind of want you to do this. Um, but I ended up doing it, and it was May of 2015. I had our second child in February. We had just moved. And it turned out to be like health and wellness had always been an interest of mine, and I had it handled on my own. I had never needed the help of a program or anything because I could do it myself. And that was part of my problem, was just like that pride and not wanting to invest in something more and realizing you're not doing this. You don't have it anymore. You need some help. So it was a combination of me like coming to grips with the fact that you need help, Bethany, and also just like feeling this nudging in my heart to explore it more. So I started coaching immediately. I signed up as a coach the day I started my first challenge group with Amber, and I didn't know why I was there. And so I didn't have that. And so I kind of figured that out as I began. I wanted to be a light in the fitness industry. Uh, I experienced so much freedom, like as I continued on my own health journey, so much freedom in fitness and nutrition. Like I said, I thought I had it all figured out prior, and I didn't. And I hadn't really experienced freedom in those areas. I thought I had, but I hadn't. And so as I continued to work and grow a business and share, it felt like the Lord was nudging me to do it. Um, and it's very similar to why I'm back now and why I'm digging in. Because if you know my story, I worked my coaching business regularly and hard for several years until 2020, after our fourth was born, October 2020. And a lot of things happened that just changed all of that. And I felt complete peace, kind of drawing back and waiting to see if that's something the Lord wanted me to continue to pursue. And of course, He did. And that's why I'm here again. And once again, I what I do know is that the Lord's asked me to be here, and the why part is kind of following after that again. Um, and it is all those things, like Caitlin said, it was all those things that it was in the beginning, plus more. And I don't know, after being at leadership for my first time in 2019 and just experiencing other parts of the business, I've really had to ask myself, Bethany, if not you, then who? If you aren't going to be somebody who's committed to just being a light here, who's going to do it? And I'm not so proud to think he's not calling anybody else to do it, but I know that he's placed in my heart, like, I want you here, Bethany. It's not your time to walk away yet. And joy and purpose in that, again, simply in showing up, even if I don't know exactly why. And just trusting that that's something that he's going to bring clarity to. And sure enough, little by little, that's happening. So I'm going to stop there because I'm going to hit on some of these things at a little bit deeper level in a minute. So we want to give you guys a chance to speak as well. Just a minute or two on what's brought you here and why you're still here. Amber, you're the first box in my thing. Do you want to go?
All right. Um, so initially, my always starting was the accountability. I just do so much better if I have someone encouraging me and someone watching. And I think Caitlin kind of bugged me to be a coach for years. um, and I don't know, there was just something holding me back, and I don't know why. And it was probably never a good reason. It was just a lot of, I can't do this. I'm not cut out for it. But living in the community that we do, and how mental health is such a internalizing everything that's going on here, and no positive outlets. And I know how much that helped me, and I wanted to be able to help that as others as well in that regard. And I just had this little niggling at the beginning of this year that I needed to be brave and start just doing some things that were out of the ordinary for me. And one of those things was this coming January, I'm going on a trip for work, and I've never been out of the past. I've been like, I can't do this. I have kids at home. What is my husband gonna do? And I figured if I start with that, I can do that. I can pretty much do anything if I work at it. So that's kind of why I'm here. I decided I wanted to be brave. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, Amber,
Awesome.
yeah, you did a post about it too, about like you started sharing about all the things that you've like been stepping out of your comfort zone and doing. And yeah, I didn't touch on that, but that was for sure part of like mine and so many other coaches' stories too, about how coaching just like it causes you to like become the person that you actually want to be. And I know I've talked about a lot in our message chat, but just about like how, it almost forces us, if we want to be successful as a coach, it forces us to like work through our feelings and to be more productive than just, be complacent, and be more positive, and to find the silver lining, and to share a raw and real, which isn't easy, right? Like, so it really pushes us. And that I can say for sure during a lot of my journey, that was a huge part of my why to keep showing up, because it helped me be who I actually wanted to be. Katie, did you want to share?
Yeah. So, I guess, well, when was it? It was like 2 months I had first started Beachbody. So I was postpartum with my second little girl, and just, yeah, recovering from C-section, and just my hormones were everywhere. And I felt like I've ever felt that before. I'm usually like more upbeat and have funk. And so yeah, Beachbody was an awesome start for me to just do something for myself and get me out of that. And then it was like 2 months after, yeah, when Caitlin, when you had asked, if coaching, if I had ever thought about that, like, what? Like, me out of all people, like there's no way. And I was like, this is not for me. Like, why does she think, I was like really questioning it a lot. I was like, why? But I feel like I do have that encouraging side to me, where I love encouraging people. I love, motivating people and just sending, like, I don't know, these positive messages to people. And I think maybe that's what you saw in me. I don't know, but
You were like a rock
um
star challenger. How do you not know this? You showed up every day. You always had a smile on your face. You were loving on people all the time. You were just like, you were sharing the struggles as well as the highs. I was like, holy crap, like this girl's a coach. And like I could tell you were kind of shy, but I was like, she's doing all the things. She's awesome. She needs to coach. Can't believe we
that's
haven't
too
had this
funny.
conversation yet.
Yeah, no, I am like 100% introvert. And so to be asked to do something like that, I was like, oh my gosh. And yeah, and so I was talking to my husband, I was like, you know what? Like, honestly, this has been the most consistent I have ever been, probably with anything in my perfect at all. But I know that, yeah, I said yes to coaching mainly because of the accountability, just, mainly for my journey. I knew that I was still struggling, as a mom of two now and just still recovering, still trying to find myself again. And so I did it. I signed up more so for the accountability of just showing up. I'm showing up for me, and then having other women doing it alongside me was just awesome. And I got very pumped and motivated and encouraged by that. And like, okay, this is actually possible, to yeah, to start a business, but also like start of my own and be these people. And yeah, because I wanted to, of yeah, just getting out of that postpartum funk that we get in. And so I wanted to share that. I was just on like this high, and yeah, and then I had my little group, and everyone else was on a high, and then it just kind of petered out, and people weren't, like logging in anymore, weren't really communicating. Lost it for myself too, and I lost that motivation. Like, okay, why? Kind of questioning, like, okay, like I feel like I'm doing like the things right, and like I'm having awesome conversations, even if people aren't signing up. Like, it's, yeah, stepping out of my comfort zone is exactly what coaching has done and is still doing for me. But I've had so many amazing conversations with people that I would not have talked to at all. And honestly, social media, like, I would probably go on a little bit, never like or love or anything, watching their posts or doing so. Yeah, it's definitely, I think right now, yeah, there's just been a lot of changes in my personal life, and just, yeah, with moving and I don't know, figuring things out with a kid. This really high, and people were engaged and working really well. And um, on my team, I guess. And so like that's kind of a bummer too. It's like what, I don't know, it just question, like it makes me question a lot. Like, okay, what happened? Like where was that point, where things took a turn? Or yeah, so I think just finding that re-engagement again. And, you know, I was the one who made the most until I started staying home. And so now my husband does. And like, I want to be able to do fun activities with my kids and not have to worry about, can I, you know, or have to ask, like, is it okay if I do this? You know, do we have enough? Like, I don't want to have to question that. And I also want to continue just like getting the supplements, you know, for myself, because I try to drink Shakeology daily, but it's like every once in a while I was like, oh, okay, I know I only have this much, like we don't have enough money for this next month, you know, and monthly also. And yeah, so yeah, that's what I would love to see in the future, I guess. And just still building more confidence as a coach, you know, and still having really good conversations with people, I think has, you know, it's made it all worth it. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I think for so many, I know Caitlin, you would agree, and Aaron too, because you've been coaching longer. For so many people, their first goal is how can I afford my supplements each month? And just like those first goals are so important, because when you start this, like as I'm refiguring out my why, this is still good for me. I still need this community. And so they've been a huge encouragement in my own life, as well as our programs and products. And so coming back to that very like foundational piece of this has been very good for me. And thinking from there, okay, what is that going to require of me? Sorry, I've got kids popping in and out here. But yeah, how can I afford that bag of Shakeology every month? And I as how coaches are compensated. And so we're definitely not going to dive into that tonight, because I am like have hardly scratched the surface, but I think there'll be some really neat opportunities for all of us to kind of look at business growth and the financial piece. And I'm excited about that. So, um, Erin, you want to go? You're next on my screen.
Yeah, I can go really quick. So my wife ran my first group right out of the gate. Like I kind of just knew this was the place where I was going to be able to serve and support other women the way I was feeling pulled. But the other big thing that I vividly remember from first joining was the post that I saw that Amber shared, was about spiritual growth and getting to really work on like your spiritual muscle and getting to know him. Share with how lost I felt, because at the time it was postpartum with my second baby. I knew I needed that tremendously. Like it, continue to figure out how do I take care of myself with two little babies. I strengthened my faith was something that I wanted to prioritize. It's like it was such a God thing that I saw the post when I saw it, and it was like a light bulb moment for me. Like this was the place to grow into who I was created to be. And so that was like kind of the kicker for me. And when I started, I really wanted to encourage encourage and empower other women to kind of do the same thing, learn how to take care of themselves in the chaos, learn how to advocate for their needs and speak up about how they were feeling from the inside out, in addition to like working on all the pieces of wellness. And that's really been kind of my focus for the past 6+ years, is how do I continue to empower women to work on every piece of the puzzle, much further than just the fitness and nutrition components. It's why I started the Mom Life Mindset, which is like my little product shop in 2021. I'm a huge believer in mental and emotional well-being. I believe those are the catalysts to being able to really dig into growth. And I totally relate to Bethany and feeling like maybe I don't know exactly what I need to be doing right now, but I do know that I am meant to be here. Like I'm being called to be in this community, but I don't know exactly what that looks like. Like I really, like as far as business goals and how I've worked and things I've learned along the way and things I've learned about myself, like it's evolved so much. And I don't have all the answers, but I'm just learning that I don't have to have them. I just need to stay grounded to be here. I'm supposed to be surrounded by this community, and I need to just have faith in that and like learn to just sit with things a little bit longer and wait a little bit longer and just stay like steadfast in how I feel called to serve, rather than feeling like I'm supposed to do things one way or feel forced to do things a specific way. Like, and that's been massive growth for me inside this community as a coach. And, you know, the growth and how I've changed as a person is a big reason of why I'm still here and community. So it's always evolving, but that's it in a nutshell.
Okay, and then Rachel, can you talk right now? I'm not sure that you can't. Oh, putting baby back to bed, so can't talk. Okay, let's see what she wrote here. Bethany first asked me if I want to coach her after she started. I turned her down. Yep, you did turn me down a number of times. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I think Rachel, yeah. The burnout and the striving, the hustle, all of those words that I think we'll dive into eventually. But when I think about that, I feel like there's a huge difference between striving and hustle. God calls us to excellence, and He's created us to work really hard. But there's, you know, it's a surrendered work. Like it's something that if any of you have experienced just the strive and hustle to a point where you're trying to control every little piece of the puzzle, and you see that done often in this business, and you feel like that is the way you're supposed to do it, but you realize it with your calling and how you're supposed to do it. And there can definitely be a lot of tension. I think a lot of us have experienced that tension between our calling and how this business is supposed to be duplicatable and how we're supposed to grow. But Rachel, I am so glad you are back, because you are such an encouragement. And it simply is like, when I look at Rachel, she's just showing up consistently to share her skills that she loves, to cheer other people on. And it can be that simple. Okay, I'm going to keep going, Caitlin, because that's kind of a good segue into what we're going to talk about next. So Caitlin and I'm going to talk a little bit about why we need to revisit our why. And Caitlin's going to talk a little bit more. She's going to expand on that. But I took notes because I want to stick to the topic. But the importance of revisiting your why and thinking through it and sharing on it. Your why has to have depth, because in this business, the winds are going to blow. There's going to be storms. There are going to be things that are going to try to knock you down, things that are going to make you question why you were here to begin with. And so that why has to have roots. And I'd like you to think about, not just tonight here, but like as we go on throughout our week, to either have shaken you since you've begun this business, or if you're a newer coach, I'm hoping some of our newer coaches will watch this call. If you are a newer coach, what are some of those things you anticipate shaking you, or maybe have started to shake you, even though you haven't even taken a step yet? And think through those things, because when our why is God-given, when we know it's a calling, because we're all called. Sometimes I think we'll read different people's posts and we'll think, oh, well, they're called to do this. And Christ has a plan and a purpose for everybody. But when we know that our why is God-given, it gives us the ability to stand firm through the challenges, through all the winds, through all the storms that you've experienced or you're anticipating coming. And we can rest in the fact that we know He's going to give us what we need to weather it. And that's really hard when you're first starting because you haven't experienced a lot of those challenges yet. But when you're a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, 7 years down the road, you've weathered a few storms, your roots have gotten stronger. And like I said, I'm not even sure I can articulate my why completely yet. But it's grounded in the fact that I know He wants me here. Don't be afraid of those challenges that you're either worried about or you're experiencing now, because they're only going to deepen your why. They're going to refine your why. As lots of us have said, it will change. It's more recently, after going, we're always being refined, right? But you get to a point where you're even restored. And that's what I have gotten to experience in the last several months, is more of a restoration and feeling refreshed and being excited about being here again. And so it is worth weathering the questions and the doubting and the really wrestling and praying through those hard things, because restoration is coming. So the other two things, Caitlin and I kind of made a quick outline, but the other two things I want to talk about, what do you do when your why might not be in alignment with your leadership? Okay. And with that, what do you do when your why, how should I say this? That's more of a statement. I guess I'll touch on this first. Your why might not be in alignment with that's something I've experienced too. And I think that's something we need to understand, is that we're all made differently. We all have different roles within this business, and with what we're doing, we're all given different gifts. But there might be times when you see best practices done by your leader and or by the business in general, and it might not, like I said, be in alignment with how you feel led to do this, and that can cause some tension. It can cause questioning. It can make you want to jump ship and say, I don't belong. But again, when you are rooted in, hey, I've been called here, if He's asked me to be here, He's going to help me figure out a way. And that really is, it's as simple as that. It's giving yourself the freedom to know the way you do this might look different. It might not feel or look as effective as everybody else's, if we measure our success by the basic standards of success of how we measure things in this business. But your leadership. And with that, your commitment cannot be dependent upon your leadership either. And so it's easy for so many of us. I've felt it myself. I've seen it happen with my coaches. If you're feeling like, this isn't the way I want to do things, or I don't agree with that, or I don't feel led to do it with that way, that's great that you can recognize that. But that doesn't give you an easy out to say, I'm out, I'm done. I think so excuse to say, well, I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that because that's not in alignment with what I feel led to do here. But it doesn't mean I can't do it in a different way. And I think I've used it as an excuse in the past just not to show up. And I think if we're honest, all of us have used that or wanted to use that as an excuse. And so I think it's very important for us to have an honest conversation with ourselves and say, is my commitment here, knowing how God's asked me to do this, am I showing up and doing those things like, oh, I don't agree with that, or I don't feel that way, as an excuse to just not do anything. It's also not dependent upon your feelings. And that as women too, we kind of have to get over that. Our feelings can be like this, right? And it's easy to get hard on ourselves about that. But we also need to know that God's created us differently. We feel things, and that is okay. There's a reason for that too, but it cannot affect the way we show up. And if we show to, not dependent upon your leadership, but also not upon your feelings. We operate separately from the people who are mentoring us. The way Beachbody is created, when we look at our business centers, you guys, we have our own business centers. We can work this and do this the way we feel led to do it. And so often, like I said, excuses, and that's not how my upline's doing it, so I don't know how to do it, or I don't want to do it that way. So anyway, what time it is, so I'm going to stop talking so you can finish.
All right, and there's like this nice delay going on, so I'll just, again, I think you said you're good. All right, so I am going to start out with a Micah Folsom quote. If you don't follow her, you should. She's awesome. She had a podcast I was listening to, and quote direct from her podcast was, she was challenging everyone who listened to again think of, what do you want from this opportunity? Why do you want it? The answer cannot be, I just want to help people. Of course, that is what we do. It is part of the job, but it is not deep enough, not personal enough, not emotional enough to do to you that you will actually push to do it, to help people when it's not convenient. And then she again said, what do you want from this opportunity? And first off, I love everyone on this call. I love that you all shared deep personal whys. I know my team, I warned them they can't just come on and say, I want to help people, because that would not have been good enough. They knew they couldn't come on and say that. But I hear it a lot in this business. I just want to help people. I just want to help people. And as Bethany said, like, there is so much that you have to work through and prioritize and everything, that if you just want to help people, like, you won't do it consistently enough to actually help them, right? Like, you're going to come and go, and you're not going to show up in a way that you would want to, that you would actually be able to help people, right? So I love that she challenged you to really think about, what do you want from this opportunity? Because I think that is often something that we kind of want to step away from, because it often feels selfish. What do I want from this opportunity? It naturally feels selfish. But like I said, in my story, I have found that figuring out what you actually want from this is of course I'll backtrack. Your why is what keeps you here. Just like Bethany and Aaron mentioned, like, they're not sure on the specifics yet, but they know why they're here. And so they are consistent in showing up here, right? So the why keeps you here. It's the what you want from this that's going to actually affect your direction and your strategy and your goals and your speed. And it's so important to get clear on that, to get clear on what you actually want out of this, because without it, like I mentioned, like, I've had seasons in my business where it was really hard to show up consistently and continue stepping out of my comfort zone and do it in a purposeful, productive way, when I really didn't even know what I was working towards. And because I know we're all faith-based, like, it shouldn't just be like, what do I want from this? It should be a prayer. It should be nudges. It should be like looking to him to show you one way or another. And sometimes you're not sure, but I know for me, I was never 100% sure, but I realized in time, like, why he was putting certain things on my heart. Often those things were scary, Another thing that why we often don't want to say what we want from this is we're scared to declare it because then we might fail, right? So that's another thing that we have to work through, and we have to overcome that and still state and declare what we're working towards. And let me just get a little more specific, because I know this is kind of getting gray and not specific enough. So like certain things, like for instance, like I know early on in my coaching career, something that honestly like drove me to like hit Success Club and step out of my comfort zone and help new people was, and it speaks to you too, Katie, is like this deep desire to have an engaged community. I knew my first year, like that's why I aimed to hit Success Club and help new people and invite people and all the things, because I so badly, again, for my own accountability and for this positive outlet, like I wanted a community of my own, of women that showed up with me. And honestly, like you are not alone, Katie, in the fact that like people don't do that consistently historically. Like you have to have a certain number of people and consistently add new people to even have a baseline of 5 to 10 people that are showing up with you. That's just, I mean, people go through pregnancies, through jobs, through movings. They are committed to their health for a few months and then they're vacationing, and like it has nothing to do with you as a coach. I wanted to say that, but my internet sucks. So I was like, I'll just let her finish. But like I wanted to encourage you in that, like it is every coach. It is, I'm in Amber's group. She has the same problem. Like we all have, like all of our groups do this of like, you know, our people don't show up, and we naturally want to blame ourselves, but I promise you that's not it. So again, in my first year, I felt that, I saw it, and I chose not to blame myself. And I just chose to continue loving on those people and trying to get them to re-engage, but knowing that if I really want an engaged community, I need to keep finding new people. Again, I kept trying to encourage and engage those people to come back, but like that need for me to just have that community of my own was strong enough that I kept. So that could be one of your goals. It could be, what do I want from this opportunity? I want a community that I run that's engaged, that's there for me. It may feel selfish, but there could be a very good reason why God's putting on your heart. And clearly, if you met that goal, there would be so many women that you'd be helping in that process, right? Another goal could be, which early on in my process was the Success Club trip. That could feel really selfish, but for me, like I knew that my marriage is really struggling, and it did for many years. It's just been very recent. If you read my post, it's been very recent that we're actually on a really like a better state. So like on the surface, it could feel like a really selfish goal. What do I want from this? I want to earn the Success Club trip. But like only you know your heart, only you know why God's putting on you. And for me, it was like, I want this for my marriage. Like I want to do this for us, so we have that time that we're going to spend together because we need this for our marriage, right? So that could be a goal. Another goal could be the diamond retreat, which like me and Bethany like are still like, is this something that we're feeling called to do? And honestly, we still don't know. That this is a very real example. Like, so this diamond retreat that's coming up, like that could be something that you could state for yourself. Like, I want to do this. Like, this is what I'm doing. And it determines your goals. It determines your speed and everything. And out of total honesty, like me and Bethany are still praying over it. We're still like figuring out his leading on it. Is this something that he wants us to go to again? But in the present moment, we do feel led to work the business in a way that is consistently hitting those benchmarks. So we're being faithful in our actions, even though we're not crystal clear why or how and if that's going to come to fruition. Another one that often comes up that can feel gross is income. To actually state like, what do I want from this? I want income. That can feel totally selfish. But another very real world example is like with me and this business. Once I stepped away from my job and Dan did get a raise, there was still that conversation that we had every tax season where he sat me down and said, you know, like, what are your feelings on doing tax work instead of coaching? And I don't know what your husband, how you are, but a lot of times husbands are just like financially minded. And so for me to just be like, no, but this is a positive outlet for me. He'd be like, that sounds like a hobby. Then you can do that on your free time and you can get tax work to do, you know, like, so I know for me, like there was a season, again, once I stayed at home, that like, I knew that if I actually wanted to be here for my clients and for myself and to spend my time like this, I needed income from it. Like for my family, I needed that to make sure that I was still here, that I wasn't, because otherwise I shared a lot on social media, but especially like this last 6 months, like, holy crap, between my son being in the ER and having a ton of medical bills, we had our AC go out, our dishwasher go out, our water heater go out. This has all been, and we had water damage, another leak out of the sea, like thousands and thousands, I'm not joking you, thousands of dollars that we did not expect to have to pay out in the last few months. Had I not, and again, at the time, I didn't know why, because we were fine financially, but I had this urge, I felt this leading that God wanted me to start actually like focusing on building this business in a way that had income in the future. I didn't know why. I just knew that that was what he was putting on my heart. I knew it wasn't selfish. I knew it was what he wanted me to do. And now this summer, I realized, holy crap, like had I not done that over the last year or two, I would for sure, going in October, tax busy season, I would be doing, I still get job offers. Like I would be doing tax work right now. And I'm so grateful that I didn't let that feeling of like, oh, this is selfish, I shouldn't need money from this. Like I just pray over it and know that whatever he's putting on your heart, like it's for a reason. And you may not know now why he's leading you to, you know, qualify to go to a retreat. You might not know when you get there, you might not know afterwards. A lot of us figure it on the way, right? So just pray over it and really state it and be okay with changing it, but don't back away from whatever he's leading you to do in this business, whether it be to hit Success Club or to start making income or to hit a rank or just to build a community, whatever it is, know that there's nothing wrong with that. Because I don't know about you, but like for a long time, it was just really hard for me to like state that I wanted anything from it because it felt gross. But know that if he's putting it on your heart, there's a reason for it, and don't back away from it, lean into it. And in fact, eventually you'll figure out why he's putting it on your heart. So yeah, the why is super important, but the what are you doing here? What do you want out of it is equally important. Otherwise you'll feel like me when I knew I was supposed to be here, but I didn't know what I was doing. And it was super hard to actually show up consistently in a productive direction because I felt like I'm supposed to be here. So I'll post, I'll offer stuff up. Maybe I'll run a group, but like, it was not until I actually had a what that he put on my heart, like this, what? That's when I was like, oh, okay. So this past fall, it was like, you're putting on my heart that I'm supposed to qualify for this diamond retreat again. Okay. So I'll do those things. And it definitely pushes you to take action in a different way. And as long as, again, you're doing it in a way that is still according to his leading, it won't feel icky. It won't. So anyways, I just could keep rambling on. I don't know what else we even had. I just feel like I went on a ramble. Okay, the other thing we wanted to talk about was the next call, to go way on the other side. The next call, technically, if we go 2 weeks out, would be Halloween. And so not sure, clearly we want to prioritize the people who are on live because you're more likely to hop on the next time we do a call. So if you could put in the chat whether you would even be able to or want to have it as scheduled on Halloween at 8:30, or if you'd rather move it, that would be super helpful. And of course, I'll ask everyone who's watching the recording. So, hey, this will be a test. If you're watching the recording, then message me or Bethany, because honestly, we want to like prioritize whoever's on the live calls or watching the recording to have it at a time that works for you. So if you're on live, message or put in the Zoom chat whether you'd like to move it. And if you're watching the recording, message me or Bethany saying whether you'd rather just keep it, that you won't be busy anyways, or if you'd rather move it. Whew, felt like I got on a big old rant. Hopefully it's helpful. We're under an hour. That's good.
That was
I'll let
good.
you close it out, Bethany.
No. I don't know. Caitlin, that was really good. I have a lot to think about after the why and the what. So, yeah.
It's funny because I wasn't thinking that it was going to hit certain people, but as I was on this ramble, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to hit some people, and it's good. It's good. It's refining.
It is good. Okay. You can keep it on Halloween. Okay. Okay. And I don't have a strong opinion about Halloween. We'll be done with whatever we do by 8:30. So, thank you guys for responding to that. And then we will put it on the team page or your message or messenger thread and just kind of see where everybody's at. But, please, if you guys have something that comes up as far as make that known, this was where we wanted to start. It's going to lead us into talking about content, and just because that was another big thing, how to post, when to post, where to post. So we're gonna move into that in the next few weeks, but I don't really have anything else to add. Caitlin, you ended that real well. You gave me plenty of food for thought. So,
You're
okay.
welcome.
All right. Okie dokie.
So good to have you ladies on.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you later.
All right, bye.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.